And in the words of Snoop Dogg, shout out to the homies and a special Hanukkah to all my shalomies.
Hey everybody, it is time. It is time. We are here today to talk about the top 5 Transformers of 2020. Normally, me and JawzD here, we're in separate little screens.
Hey, how you doing?
The big V has ruined our tradition where we're normally in the same room together. Boom, boom, boom. You know, having us discuss our top 5. So today we're going to do it through the magic of the internet. We're going to do it as if it's just one of the streams pretty much. We also have the top voted figure by the fans. This time around we had over 300 votes, which is pretty crazy compared to last year. So we have and it was pretty nuts who won. It was pretty neck and neck who won. And I'll get into that in a moment. So we're going to go through, again, our top 5 of the year. For people that want to know, we don't count third-party stuff. We don't count stuff that's going to be pretty much technically next year. So don't expect any Kingdom stuff on this list, and don't expect any Studio Series 86, because that's all stuff that's supposed to actually come out in January and February. It's just some of it is broken street dates in some places. And, obviously there's some stuff that came out in late 2019 that's still 2019 product. So if you want to play along, go to unicron.com. You go to 2020, written on the side. The Lucas brothers have a really good list of everything that exists in 2020. And you could let me know below what your favorite was if you didn't get a chance to vote. And so what we're going to do is we're going to start with JawzD. I got to get used to which side I'm going to be pointing here. I got to be pointing the opposite with the video. We're going to start with JawzD over here. So let us know what your top 5 is, and I'm going to do all the editing and post afterwards and post what the images are.
Okay. So just happy holidays, everyone. How you doing? So just to get into it, I guess I'll start. I don't know. I don't really have a 1 through 5. I just have more of like categories.
Okay.
If anything. So I got here for my number 1 collaborative for this year. I'm going to go with Gigawatt. I think that figure came out looking a little bit more, a lot better than the Top Gun one, the Maverick, that came out this year as well. I felt Maverick looked a little bit skinny, even though I like the alt mode a bit more. I love the Tomcat. That's like one of my favorite jet fighters, along with the Super Hornet. But I feel like when you finally transform him, he looks really, really skinny and kind of spangly a little bit. But I think Gigawatt came out a lot better, really cool. He's got the nice plate that says out of time, and the box is really cool and everything. Even when I went to try to find one at the Toys R Us in Montreal, I found some other stuff from Siege and Earthrise, and the guy at the cash was like, "Oh, did you know about the Back to the Future Transformer?" I was like, "Oh yeah. I thought you guys had it, but you didn't." So even people that aren't really into Transformers know about Gigawatt. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, and I find too that, like, out of all the stuff that we've gotten thus far, like the Ghostbusters one, the Gigawatt, now even the X-Men one that was recently announced, I find that the Gigawatt is it has the most mass appeal in a lot of ways.
Yeah. And I don't know, part of me feels like it makes more sense. I don't know why. Like, I feel like the Ghostbusters one's a little bit weird.
Yeah.
Even though there's like a tie-in comic and stuff, and it's just like, okay, I never thought those two would cross each other. Maybe because it's not Ghostbusters did come out in the 80s, but the car itself is like a car from the 70s, 60s. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it kind of throws me off a little bit. You wouldn't think that aesthetic would go with it.
I think you could always write anything. You could always write anything into Transformers with enough creativity. So.
And also, I shouldn't say that because I know some of the cars from Transformers aren't. They didn't come out. They came out in the 70s. A lot of
the Diaclone stuff and the Microman stuff. Some of them were late 70s.
Yeah. So it's, I don't know. But anyway, Gigawatt wins on that one, and I managed to get one, so I'm super happy about that. For Generations, I think I have 2 here. All right, for my next one, it's going to be a Transformers Generation Siege, but Netflix edition. So that did come out this year,
Yep.
and it's going to be Impactor.
Cool.
I thought that was pretty cool.
Different head sculpt.
The Yeah, different head sculpt. How much of the paint did they change on him?
All of
Like
them.
quite a bit,
All of them
or
have like. I mean, when you're talking like how different the paint is, I guess technically everything, but it's more they have different washes on them and stuff like that. So, I mean, it's technically a different paint scheme. Just it's
right,
not a 100% the same.
right. So this one I think came out pretty cool,
Yep.
and I kind of dig it. Um, and then my next one is going to be for Earthrise Ironworks.
Yeah.
I'm really happy to see this character come back. I had the Ironworks playset when I was a kid, and to see this character come back and see even fans like make the what was it, like the satellite? No, like the three pronged
You're
satellite
talking about
thing going on with
the
it.
little. You're talking about
The little add-on.
that someone did. I think I want to say it was Trent Troop. Correct me if I'm
Hmm.
wrong, Trent. He did a little Shapewaves 3D printed little propeller that you could put on the side
Yeah,
to make it match
which I thought was, yeah, and you can make it look exactly like the old
the original.
play set. So that was pretty cool, and I do like the playability. You can pull them apart and add them with anything that you already have and all that kind of stuff. So I thought that was pretty cool, and yeah, it's just a little nostalgic thing that you can make them into a little play set, and you can mess around with them with the remade Micromasters,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
It's basically about the same scale.
Yeah, they work pretty well with them. A lot of them.
Yeah.
I've said many times I love everything that's been going on with those MicroMaster bases. Needless to say, there's going to be a little bit of repeat. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
And now for studio series, I took Blitzwing. I think Blitzwing is probably the coolest out of the studio series for this year.
hmm
And yeah, I think they did a really good job for the not
the
Starscream.
not Starscream as he was known.
Yeah, that everyone kind of called them as. But
Yeah,
yeah, I think the Blitzwing was really cool. And for my final one, for the piece de resistance, the masterpiece, Takara MP50 Tigatron.
yeah,
Yes, we got Tigatron back, and he looks better than ever. And I mean, if you're going to do Cheetor, then for sure Tigatron's not going to be that far behind
yeah.
because it's not it's not that far removed from how that transformation is going to be. But this one just looks a little bit more beefier, a
Yeah,
little bit more bulky.
they're different toys, but the same kind of engineering is there. So
Yeah,
it wouldn't be too difficult to throw it together.
exactly.
Yeah.
Do we do our honorable mentions now, or do you want to do it
If
a
you
little
want to
bit
do one,
later?
I don't have one personally, but you could throw one in there.
Oh,
Go ahead.
I have two here actually, maybe three, but I'll do my main honorable mention is the Scorponok
Mm-hmm.
with
Fighting Glass.
as slash Major Zarek and Lord Zarek. The fact that I think we've talked about this a lot of the time and said they probably won't do it, even though I mean they've alluded to it in the promotional stuff with the headmasters, all the naming of the
Yeah,
headmasters.
when they had the poster a while back.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So even though we kind of thought maybe yes, maybe no, it's very limited, but they still did it. So hats off to everyone involved in that, to Hasbro, to Kara. The fact that they did it is pretty cool, and yeah, I mean it's always cool to see something that you think they might not do it, and they actually did it, and they did it in a very good way. And if you want your giant base former, you totally have one now.
Mm-hmm.
And I also gave a shout out to Soundwave, Laserbeak, and Ravage, the Earthrise Netflix version.
Mm-hmm.
Harkens back to the Toys R Us version of the masterpiece Soundwave,
The Western release. Yeah.
the Western release. Yeah, so I think that's pretty cool. If you want to get a hold, if you can't get a hold of that one, I would say this is probably a really good second place. That's not too bad and doesn't hurt in the bank.
Definitely a lot
So,
more affordable. Yeah.
and I'll give a shout out to the Quintesson, the Quintesson Judge.
Yeah.
Finally getting a official release and not a third party version of it.
So many.
And I know a lot of people kind of dug this toy, so I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah. That's
Yeah, and I think that's good.
there's going to be like honestly like a lot of stuff that fans enjoyed. You share the sentiment with them too. We'll get into that afterwards for sure, and I'll even like mention because we have a few of the Patreon guys even gave their opinions on some of the stuff that they voted for. So
Okay, cool, cool.
my best of 2020. It's funny every year, you like a mold, and
Mhm.
it's like your favorite of the year, and then I like the repaint of the same mold that same year. So
That.
it's not my number five, but we'll get to it when it comes. Okay, so my number five is Tigatron Masterpiece MP50 Tigatron. The reason why
Okay.
he's higher up on the list is just because when I got him, he stayed in the box for like 2 days because like I got him on like a Tuesday or something. I just didn't have time to open and mess with him, and everyone else was messing with him and going like, "Whoa, whoa, 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 whoa! Be careful because of the paint on his crest could scratch if you put it in vehicle and excuse me, vehicle in tiger mode." So I was like, "Oh man, that sucks." So I have him in robot mode and I've left him like that, and I haven't
Okay.
transformed him into tiger mode, and it's just like that's
Really?
so. But he still looks amazing. Like it looks like he left off the screen. He looks incredible. But I'm just gonna take that little thing away. I'm pretty sure there's a way to transform it where it doesn't get damaged. I'm just so worried about that. I'm gonna wait
Oh
until I get a
wow.
second one because all
Hmm.
I don't buy seconds of masterpieces, but the Beast
Yeah,
Wars one,
exactly. That's a bit
the
crazy.
Beast Wars ones have been making me really want to do it. Just because it's the
Hmm.
one time there's so much character in the alt modes as just as much in the robot modes. So I'm just going like, I got to find a cheap one, and he's an expensive one, so it's going to be tough. Um, Number four is Generation Select's God Neptune, which was the repaint
No.
of King Poseidon, aka the Seacons. This was the Japanese version from Beast Wars 2nd. The big reason why I lean on that is because Skyla or Sela or however you want to pronounce it, she finally got a very feminine made remold toy. She's part of that set. Very incredible. Very expensive, but at the same time,
Mm.
if you could get your hands on it, what a great release. I was so excited when I saw that. I was like tweeting about it like crazy when it came out. Really cool. Not much more I could say about it. A lot of other people too, like she didn't make the top 5 of the fan votes, but a lot of people
Okay.
still voted for it. Like I mean, when I say that, like the people who like made the top 5 made a majority of the votes, but there still was tons of votes for other stuff, and a lot of people love
Right.
that God Neptune also.
That's pretty good.
Number 3 is Cyberverse Deluxe RC. Now, the reason why I bring her up is because Cyberverse was a pretty rough line for people who are a fan of the show. I mean, I've said it many times, like the hot rod, it disappointed me. It really did. It disappointed me, the QC and everything. But when I got RC and I started messing with her, I was like, oh my god, this feels like the deluxe quality of a 2009 toy. Like I was like, it
Ooh,
actually felt like we were back at a time where deluxes were like really good quality figures and stuff like that. And she just looks
that's
great.
good.
She looks great. She's tight. Like it's not
Hmm.
loose. The articulation is great. The weapons are great. It's if you're gonna buy, no joke, if you're gonna buy one deluxe Cyberverse Transformer, it's either Optimus Prime or RC. No joke. Like those two are just amazing. But Optimus Prime came out last year, so I couldn't really bring them up.
I really had a hard time trying to pinpoint one figure from Cyberverse this year, and I kind of
It
want to
was a
try to
it's a tough it was
go. I kind of want to like showcase at least one thing from each line. And it
it
was
was
just super
such a
hard to do it
rough
for that
year.
one.
It was like I'm telling you, like I've gone on rants about it already in the past, but it's like I really felt that Hasbro just didn't stand by this line. I really don't.
Mm.
Anyways, number 2, you went with Ironworks. I went
Yep.
with Grease Pit, his Generation Selects repaint, which really the only thing that's different is he comes with, I'm going to show it in the camera here, he comes with a little gas tank, and then he comes with a sign because he's supposed to be a gas station slash car wash using the
Oh, okay.
Ironworks mold. I swear when I saw this repaint, I fell in love with it. I ordered it online from Hasbro Pulse. I didn't care about the shipping. I just really wanted to have it because it looked so. I own the original. I mean, you probably could barely see it in the shot here. Oh no, you can't even see it. But I own the original. I love the original, and when they did this one, I'm like, oh man, I gotta get it. And then they started showing up in Toys R Us's, like the Generation Selects, and I was like, you know what, I'm going to get a second one. I loved
Yeah.
it that much because it's one of those figures that when I put it in its city mode, I was like, oh my God, this thing's so cool, but I like the robot mode too. Oh, I don't know how I want to display. And what's cool too, if you read his instructions, he's actually kind of a quad former. He has 4 different modes that you could do. Like there's so much going on with that mold. Like the modulators, these Micromaster bases, I'm going to miss them in Kingdom because I loved everything that they did with them. And Grease Pit almost became my number 1, no joke. That's how much I
Oh,
loved it.
really?
Like for the longest time throughout the year, I was like, this is going to be my number 1. This is going to be my number 1. But it wasn't until, and it's just the appreciation that I had for everything that happened here. And it was that of Generation Selects Super Megatron. I could have not
Nice.
believed that because just the history of that toy. This was a character, like I love it when they make toys off of characters that had never gotten toys. Super Megatron, the main antagonist from the Return of Convoy, Battle Stars series. I never thought they were going to ever make a toy of it. I just thought it was, here's this thing that was a story page only design. It's never going to happen, but they did it. They did it. I couldn't believe it. I originally was even going to give it to the leader class Earthrise Optimus Prime. But when this thing came out, I'm like, no, this is way more important in so many different ways. But don't worry, leader class Earthrise Optimus Prime makes the fan vote list. So, but yeah, that Super Megatron, man, I was all over that. I like obscure. I like characters that never really got good toys. And when they knock it out of the park. The only thing that's kind of sad when I look at my list is everything outside of RC really could only be bought online. Like, I mean, technically some of the Generation Select stuff could be found in Toys R Us retail here in Canada. But I mean, like the Tigatron is an online thing. God Neptune's an online thing. The Grease Pit, unless you're in Canada, it's an online thing. And the Megatron was an online thing. But they were all just home runs. So, now let's get into the fan votes. Before we get into who actually won, I have some of my Patreon people here. They gave their opinions of who they felt was their number 1. So I'll just go through them very quickly here. So Orlando Chavez, he said here, for me, the best figure of the year is Earthrise Leader Class Optimus Prime. He's a mini masterpiece. It's basically the figure I dreamed of as a kid when I first saw Transformers and Optimus Prime. So that's pretty cool. Michael Koo, who's one of our YouTube members, he says, my vote has got to be War for Cybertron Earthrise Commander Class Skylynx. So he really likes that one. And I'm going to get
That was a big one.
And I'm going to get
I was thinking of putting that on my list, but I was like, I was a little bit hesitant.
I'm going to get into that too because there's a story there. Downright Superb says, I got to pick Hasbro Pulse Generation Selects G2 Earthrise Megatron, which was the Earthrise Megatron, but with the G2 colors. He says, it pops hard. Also, I have a proper way to mount the cannon on the shoulder to make it toy accurate to the original. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Ian McRobbie, one of our Patreon dudes, he says, it's got to be Masterpiece Tigatron for me. Took a good design and altered it to improve it above the Cheetor mold and had enough of all new components to make it feel like its own figure. So he loves the MP Tigatron. Zero says here, my favorite has got to be Scorponok, mainly due to nostalgia. It's like bringing a big G1 teddy bear stuffed animal to bed. That's how huge it is. Quinn, Christopher Quinn, he says, I'd have to say it's Scorponok. He also likes Scorponok for me, only because having a full set in 1 year is nice, but because you have Scorponok and he's not a retool, he's an original mold and a well thought out Titan class overall with a great modern representation of a G1 toy, that's my pick. And then we have Francesco, one of our patrons. He says, my vote is going to be Transformers War for Cybertron Commander Class Skylynx from Earthrise. I really like how it's made, how it transforms into 3 different transformations. There's the space shuttle that turns into a dragon Skylynx, and I can't help but adore such an amazing figure. So that was some of our patrons that wanted to chime in with their stuff. So thank you again to my patrons who help us with the podcast every year and keep us going. Now let's go into the fan vote. Over 300 people voted across YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. And I'm going to go through the top 5. Then I'm going to go through some interesting things I want to point out. So number 5 was a 3-way tie. Well, because we had a lot of votes. So we had a three-way tie with 16 votes on the 3-way tie. They all had 16 votes. It was a 3-way tie between Earthrise Cliffjumper, the Quintesson Judge, and Generation Select Super Megatron that I voted for. So keep in mind our votes don't count to this fan vote. It's just
of course.
So that's pretty awesome. Like, I mean, the Cliffjumper was long overdue. Quintesson Judge, like Wendell, JawzD voted for, long overdue. So it doesn't surprise me with that. Number 4 is a 2-way tie with 70 votes. Okay, at fourth place we have War for Cybertron Earthrise Titan class Scorponok and Studio Series Blitzwing sharing it. So both of them together. Studio Series Blitzwing, I'm going to say this right now, was the highest voted Studio Series toy this year. It was easily the most popular of all the Studio Series stuff that came out this year. Everyone really liked Blitzwing. So you voting for him too is not a surprise. He was a really good product. Number 3, third place with 110 votes, we have Transformers War for Cybertron Netflix Soundwave. So, like you said before, mini masterpiece. A lot of people were saying that same thing. Orlando, he was saying like how there's mini masterpieces in Earthrise, and this applies here with the Soundwave. Really good figure. If you haven't get it, pick it up. It's a really good, cheap alternative. Now, second place and first place. When I was tabulating the votes, it was a war. It was he's leading, he's leading, he's leading, he's leading. And it was a fight and a fight and a fight, and we finally got to the end. So, literally, no joke, second place lost by 2 votes. 2 votes of over 200 votes between the two of them. Second place runner-up for this year is Transformers War for Cybertron Commander Class Skylynx. Skylynx got a ton of votes from people. Even our patrons, 2 of them loved the Skylynx. A lot of people really like that Skylynx mold. I don't have it yet. I couldn't find it, but it looks great. It looks great, so I could totally understand people's love for it. I think that part of the reason why I didn't run out and get it is just because like I had the Commander Wars one, I own the original, so I think it's just like maybe I was like not as incentivized to get it. But I mean, a lot of people have been saying great things about it, and the numbers show for it. And number 1, that won by 2 votes, getting Transformers War for Cybertron Earthrise Leader Class Optimus Prime. A lot of people, again, another mini masterpiece. Like Orlando said, it's if you can't afford the recent MP, the new MP 3.0, if you can't afford MP 10, this is a really good toy. And the good news is if you didn't pick it up this year, next year he's going to be a filler leader class for Kingdom. He's going to be in the leader class price point. So you'll be able to pick it up again. Now part of the Kingdom line, and you get a little extra trading card this time and some nice box art from the Kingdom line. So really good toy. That's what the fans loved, and that's what they voted for. To kind of break down other stuff. So of the stuff, like I mentioned before, the most voted Studio Series this year was Blitzwing. The most voted masterpiece this year was Tigatron, and the most voted Cyberverse toy this year, no surprise, was RC. She only had 2 votes, but some people felt that she was the best figure this year. So that's pretty cool stuff. So again, that's it more or less. That is the top 5 Transformers of the year by the fans, by us. So let us know what you think. If you didn't get a chance to vote, post in the bottom below. And I just want to take this moment again to thank everyone who has supported the podcast, who has been tuning in to the streams. Our stuff has been exploding this past year. It's been pretty nuts. JawzD would message me sometimes for the Facebook group, and he'd be like, man, there's a lot of people joining the Facebook group. to the point that we thought it was like spam, but it's legitimate people.
Yeah.
Like it was. It's been blowing up. It's been blowing up like crazy, and it's thanks to you guys. You know, between Patreon and everyone supporting us there, the YouTube members, if you want to join down below, everyone supporting the podcast, helping us improve the quality of everything here. I don't know if we would have been able to even do this if I didn't get all the stuff in time from all the support from the patrons and stuff, to have this little split screen and everything and to do the streams. But I mean, everything goes a long way. And I just want to thank everyone who's been tuning in, supporting, sharing our stuff. A lot of our, I mean, all of our stuff gets tons of views. It gets tons of comments. It gets shared around. You know, if you haven't subscribed, if you haven't liked our stuff, you know, check it out. I think we're like over 1,200 segments of backlog that you can listen to. Yeah, wow. It's pretty crazy. It's pretty crazy. There's a lot of stuff. So, I mean, we're going to keep reporting the news and giving you good segments, Transformer Finance and all kinds of stuff like that going into the new year. And I hope everyone had a good time. I hope everyone is staying safe. You know, it's a crazy world out there right now in the zombie apocalypse. Hopefully everything will be better in 2021. And, you know, and then me and JawzD could hang out in person and not have to do this craziness with this stupid, you know, split screen stuff, the Zoom boom. Hopefully it'll be a bust and we could see everybody at conventions when the time. Anything else you want to say, Bud, before we go?
No, just happy holidays. Be safe, everyone. Take care. Enjoy your time. Enjoy your toys if you got them, and if you don't, show some love to some older toys that you have. Wipe some dust off of it. Play with it. Enjoy it.
Yeah.
Get out there. Get in that toy box and enjoy what you have.
Yeah, there's always this. Well, there's so many good toys to enjoy. But yeah, thanks again everyone for coming and all the support that we've done. And once again, Happy New Year, Happy Holidays, and I mean, probably by the time you're listening to this, I'm not sure when it's going to be posted, 25th or the 26th, we're going to have an Earthrise Netflix series. So hope everyone enjoys that.
Check that out.
So guys, again,
we got quite a bit of Netflix. We got quite a bit of Transformers on Netflix. I think Prime might still be on there if you're in North America.
You have a lot of other stuff.
Cyberverse is still there, and in Siege, you know, you got quite a bit to tide you over for now. And the movies,
technically, so.
Yeah. And the movie, yeah.
So guys, once again, thank you for everything, and as always, roll out.